1 week down, so many to go, and we're all over it here on EFL TV. All thanks to Ferntree, Gully, Holden and HSV, where driving and local footy means a great deal. Yes, a huge edition of EFL TV. Thanks for joining us here on efl.org.au. Now, this man, my co-host Peter Baird, is very up and about this week because his boys, and I'm going to say his boys, got over the line, Pete. And you were down there on Saturday night. Must have been an absolutely amazing feeling around the corner of Elgar Road and Canterbury Road.
I wasn't sure whether you were talking about Roval or the Sur Park Panthers, but no, they were fantastic on the weekend. Got down there and joined in the celebrations with them. A lot of hard work. 1,708 days between drinks for the Sur Park Football Club. Now, that's a long time.
And they were so kind enough to give you a shirt to wear on EFL TV today.
I'm a coterie member of the Sur Park Football Club, so happily displaying their colours. First time they've had a win in 4 years.
Speaking of happy, your old man, Ray Baird, was actually down there with you on Saturday night, and he caught up with victorious coach Andrew Toop and ex-captain of the club, Jimmy Wright.
Ray Baird here, reporting from the Sur Park Football Club after their historic win today. We have Jimmy Wright, ex-captain of the club, been here for the 4 years, Jimmy. Also, we've had Andrew Toop here, the coach of the victorious side. First of all, to you, Jim, 4 years of hard toil. What does the win mean to you today?
It's one of the best days of my life, without a doubt. It really warms my heart, because, to see young kids coming through now, because for years we lost juniors to other clubs, and that's not going to happen anymore. So, it's a beautiful day, and I never ever lost faith, to be honest with you, because a club is its own entity, and clubs are bigger than an individual, and we're going to be here forever. So it's fantastic.
So all those nights in winter training over the last 4 years, today really it pays off, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it was. I was overcome when the final siren went. I was crying like a baby, to be honest with you, but. It was just amazing. It's and to see everyone here, and it's an amazing day. Yeah.
All right, now over to you, Andrew, the victorious coach. Very proud of the boys.
Oh yeah, look, Ray, it's a terrific moment for our club, as Jimmy just said, and given you've just noted Jim, people like Jimmy today and Baz Cleary, our long-term full-back, they missed out on being on the ground today. And a measure of our club is the way people like that accept those decisions. They understand what it means for our club. They understand where everyone is in the scheme of things. And that's what we've tried to develop. We've tried to develop a strong football culture, people all working together, and our community being a part of this. And our community's taken a kicking. And now we're turning around, out there in those rooms tonight, there is people there celebrating, supporting, and that's what we've built over time. And this bloke and other guys like it, they've been at the forefront of that. So this is it's a milestone. It's another box we had to tick. So we've got that milestone now, and now we really push to be, we're a normal footy club. Squarely back in our court to keep performing, keep being competitive, keep doing those little things. And like Jimmy said, the main thing is that it gets people to be here. Geez, we believe in this. So to this club's credit, it was down and out. And these people have been wonderful in what they've been able to achieve these last few years. And now, today's terrific. So that's their day. Let's celebrate your win. And let's get back into it.
Now, over the 4 years, Andrew, has there been a time when you thought to yourself, is it really worth it?
No, I haven't thought that, but I know there was one game, probably the last third of 2011, and we lost, and it was myself and my wife's wedding anniversary, and I didn't get away here early enough to go there. And I remember I texted Jim as I went away from the resort, and that was the one night where I did waver a bit in terms of, you think, are we the right people to take it forward and all those sorts of things, because you do worry, because you've got to separate yourself from it, and you've got to go, okay, club's bigger, and we've got to make sure we're going right, but... Look, these players have been so respectful and decent to me and others who've been in senior positions in the club because they've believed in what we're doing with them. And that's the thing, it's been a consultative process, but one we've kept the direction, massaged a few things along the way, or, we've fallen off the wagon on a couple of things, but primarily, look at this, when we came here, we didn't have a board. We didn't have a board to sit there and do positions on. We didn't have rooms set up right. We've made this into a football club. We've made it into a sporting club to be proud of, and that's the very best thing out of this.
And Andrew, what you've got out of it, look, teaching all these young boys about being men, that's an amazing thing.
Oh, yeah, look, first and foremost, and I'm sure Jimmy agrees, I've always said to these guys, the most important thing is that you're good people first and foremost. And then we can look after the footy bit afterwards. Because you always build and develop footballers, but you get good people in here, you put those values into them, and they respond to that accordingly. No, it's the most heartening thing. Look, very humble man tonight, right? Very humble man tonight.
And deservedly so too, Andrew. And look from here on, boys, the belief's there now. You can win more games, and this club is going forward. So look, everybody out there in the EFL, keep your eye on the Surrey Park Football Club.
Go Surrey! Great work there from Ray Baird and Andrew Toop. And, of course, Jimmy Wright, who was a little bit unlucky to not play in that game, of course, was played in the reserves game. How would you be feeling if you were Jimmy Wright? I know he said he was happy for the club, but how do you think he's personally feeling?
He was very disappointed that he was one of the only 2 players still at the club that actually played in their last win in round 17, 2008, and he really wanted so much to be out there. But he was one of the ones leading the celebrations down at Surrey Park on Saturday night. A fantastic club, and he's probably really grown as a leader at that football club over the last few years.
Speaking of leading the celebrations, he got his hands on the microphone and the EFL TV camera while we were down there. Check this out.
We're here in the Surrey Park rooms for EFL TV. My name's Jimmy Wright. I'm the latest recruit for EFL Media, superstar reporter. I'm here with Dan Morris, who played in the back line today. What was that win like today, Dan?
Look, it's been a long time coming, I think. All last year we didn't win a game, and it was fairly heartbreaking to walk off the field after the last match, having not had a win for the year. But yeah, today was probably proof of our solid, strong pre-season, and hopefully there's more to come, Jimmy.
What did that win mean for you today, mate? First game ever at the club?
Yeah, a lot. I've only been here for 2 or 3 months, but you can just see how much everyone else has put into the club, like yourself and Rod and Toopy. They haven't had a win as president and coach, and you just see how much work they put in, and yeah, do it for everyone else was good.
Victorious president Rod Bunkle, and probably the best president in the EFL. What did that win to you? What did that win mean for you today, Rod?
I suppose it's accumulation of 4 years of hard work by a lot of people, Jimmy. The players, Coach Andrew Tibb, who I can't think highly enough of. People like John Barker have been around the club and really supported the club, been fantastic.
Mate, what did that win to you today?
It's probably the most satisfying thing I've ever done in my life, I reckon.
Really? That's huge, man. That's huge.
Been looking forward to it for over a year now.
Is it true you've called a recovery session tomorrow, even though it's our first win in 4 years?
I have called recovery. It's actually just lunch, I think. So the boys are yet to decide where it is. Could be at the G-bung or the harp. You never know. So hopefully it's not too big.
I think we might have a new recruit for EFL TV media, well, the EFL media team in general, Frosty, because Jimmy Wright doing a magnificent job.
Down here at the EFL season launch at Ferntree Gully, Holden with footy operations manager at the EFL, Phil Merton. Phil, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Braden, good to see you.
Now, just quickly, want to speak to you a couple of the rule changes here. We see in the AFL each year rule changes, and then they often follow on in the EFL. First one I want to talk about is the rucks. There's been a change in the with the AFL rule in regards to contact at the rucks. Can you just go through that change and if it's changed with the AFL as well?
Yeah, certainly. So it's a rule change that has separation at ruck contests. So the players need to be a metre apart before the ball's released, and that's a rule that we've introduced in the AFL. The AFL have introduced. So we had a look at some video of a number of AFL games across all divisions from last year, and while it wasn't a huge issue, where it did happen, it sort of ends up being a bit of a wrestle between the two ruckmen. So we think it makes a whole lot of sense to introduce that. The stats from the AFL are pretty good in terms of what it does, so we think it's a good rule change.
Okay, and the sliding rule, it's caused lots of controversy in the AFL, the interpretation of it, the change. Is that going to be something that's going to be passed on in the AFL?
Yeah, look, the rule, it's actually not a new rule that's been introduced in the AFL. It's a change into interpretation of one of their rules. So we'll change our interpretation as well, but it won't be as strict as what the AFL's rule is. We think our games are conducted in an environment that it's a bit different to what the AFL is. The condition of the ground, the size of the ground, the type of players. So while some of the more incidental types of contact are being paid in the AFL, those things won't be free kicks in our competition. But where players deliberately take someone's legs out or slide in with either their feet first or their knees first, or it's a deliberate and it's a dangerous act, then it can be a free kick or a reportable offence in the EFL this year.
Okay, so we're not going to see it too often, especially in our sort of close. Especially the grounds are much smaller, and also often much more contests on the ground. We can only see them in rare occasions.
Yeah, so and that's where we think our footy's a lot more congested given the size of the ground and generally the condition of our grounds, particularly later in the winter. So yeah, if contact was made for every time if a free kick was paid for every time any contact was made, it'd be pretty difficult for the umpires to adjudicate on. So we're really looking out for those ones that are dangerous, that are probably almost deliberate, and that also have a pretty distinct amount of force attached to them. So the rule is don't slide into contests, keep your feet and you'll be right. But if you do something in a dangerous way, there could be a free kick or a report made.
And there's also been a couple of off-field changes in regards to concussion and also knee injuries. Can you just run through those?
Yeah, no worries. Obviously, concussion's been a topic that's been pretty relevant to all of the contact sports over the last couple of years, and the AFL have introduced some recommendations with regards to how concussion should be managed, and we've taken those on board. And as part of that, we've developed a program with Akira Urgent Care, who are one of our medical providers, who have a clinic that's open on weekends, that'll provide a service for players to be able to be assessed and have a treatment program put in place by a trained doctor in the management of concussion. So one of the things that's come out of a lot of the research that they've done is that GP doctors, by their own admission, aren't that well educated when it comes to the management and the treatment of concussion, and it needs to be done through doctors that are trained in the area. So we think that's a really good service to provide. And look, we don't think it's something to be alarmed at, but we certainly think concussion is an area that both players, coaches, medical staff and parents need to take a little bit more, be a bit more conscious of in terms of how we treat it, and that it's an injury to your brain. It should be treated in the same way and with the same level of care that an injury to your hamstring would be. So, that's a message we're trying to get through. And the other program that we've established with Vermont Radiology and an orthopaedic surgeon called Rodney Richardson gives EFL access to injuries, treatment for knee injuries in a similar time frame that AFL players would get. So
MRIs and things like that?
Yeah, so MRIs and then to be assessed by Mr. Richardson if necessary. So look, there's a program in place that people could be having MRIs first thing Monday morning, seeing Mr. Richardson by Tuesday, and if it's something that did require surgery, could be having the surgery by the end of that week. So they're time frames that are usually associated with people at the elite level, and it's something that often players at our level have struggled with to try and find, and there's often been lengthy waiting periods associated with trying to see expert care like that. So yeah, we think that's a really good initiative.
Well, yeah, sound like some really good initiatives being implemented by the EFL, and thanks very much for joining us, Phil.
Thanks, Braden.
Great work there. Braden Ingram catching up with EFL Footy Ops Manager Phil Merton at the season launch. Plenty of new initiatives by the EFL in 2013. Speaking of new initiatives, Frosty, not necessarily from the EFL, but from Sylvan and Coldstream. They played a match on Sunday afternoon up there the mountain. We took the nose plugs and the ear plugs up the mountain, Frosty, to watch Sylvan take on Coldstream. A great crowd down there in the end. What did you take out of it? Is it something that you think could eventuate a little bit more often?
It was a real carnival atmosphere, real country footy at its best in the Eastern Football League, and two teams that are fairly close rivals there. They're in the local area. They've arranged to play both their meetings this year on a Sunday afternoon, and it was a fantastic effort out there. The crowd that turned up to really support both teams, and I believe you caught up with the Sylvan president, Chris McLagan.
Certainly did. Here it is. Down here at the Sylvan Recreation Reserve, a big country-like afternoon here at Sunday Football, and joining us to talk about all things Sunday afternoon football is the president of the Sylvan Football Club, Chris McLagan. Chris, a huge crowd out here. You must be thrilled with the turnout and the stand of the game so far.
Yeah, no, the stand of the game is really good, but the crowd numbers are fantastic. Probably the biggest crowd we've had here for a long time. So it was Goody's idea, Chris Goodall, the senior coach, to play Coldstream on a Sunday when they were coming down, and he pushed it pretty hard. We got it through, and it's paying off for us, so it's great.
You're doing it at two times during the year, obviously in round one. and doing it also later on in August. Why the 2 times?
Well, to repay the favour, I suppose. But we're playing Coldstream. It's going to be in August because their junior games are on Sunday. So it's going to be when their junior games finish. So we'll return the favour in August. And if we're both in the same division next year, then they'll have the first one on the Sunday if that happens. So fingers crossed, one of us are gone.
What about Sunday football in general? Is it something, you obviously got Coldstream this year, but is it something you might approach other clubs and possibly suggest?
Well, I think if there's a bit of a rivalry there, it's worth it, I think. A bit of interest around, and plus it's a standalone game, so you get the crowds, and everyone wants to see round one, everyone wants to see footy, so everyone's dying for footy, so that's why we did it.
Great stuff, Chris. Thanks for joining us.
No worries. Thanks, Ben.
Well, I reckon Kilsyth are the threat to go all the way for the flag this year. What about you, Simon?
I'd have to not 100% on that.
Yeah, the biggest threat for Ferntree Gully this year, I think, is Sylvan Football Club. And I believe we'll probably play Sylvan Football Club in the grand final. And the reason being is because they've got Chris Goodley.
But I'd reckon Sylvan's probably our biggest opposition, I reckon, mate.
What do you reckon, Chris? Who are you going to play, mate?
I obviously think South Belgrave are going to be one of the hardest teams to beat again this year, but Ferntree Gully showed last year they've got a young, talented squad, and I think they'll go a long way as well this year, so it'll either be one of those two.
Now, Frosty, we gave it a little bit of a plug last weekend about the EFL Play of the Day, and we saw particularly some great plays from the weekend in 2 radio games, Bayswater Mulgrave on the Friday night, and then Baronia Ringwood on the Saturday. Here are the first 3 nominations for the EFL Play of the Year.
Player inside out was Lukey Parker. The short passes on. He's usually got clean skills. The man of the moment. He kicks it around the body. David Wazer, he's flux. He stuck it through.
Oh, no.
What a miracle goal that was. He didn't even look where the goal post. 10 metres out from goal. It was a big knock away that time by Liolios. He got it away towards Siakoulis, who bags it on his boot. You can't believe it. He has somehow plucked this one out from nowhere. And the vice-captain in his first...
He goes up, couldn't quite take the mark. Ball comes to ground. Look at Dean Grice. He'll pick this ball up. He'll kick the left foot goal. He is a class act, Dean Grice. He is a superstar. And Baronia are all over Ringwood in this second term. 3 great nominations there. Frosty, Siakoulis, Wazer and Dean Grice. We all saw those on the weekend. So what you have to do is head to efl.org.au, and the poll down the right-hand corner of the right-hand bottom corner of the website. Vote for A, B, or C, and we'll find out who has been the best player of the week in week 1 of the Eastern Football League. Personally, Frosty, what did you like? Siakoulis, Wazer, or Grice?
Probably the first 2, the 2 from Mulgrave, Siakoulis and Wazer. They're probably more dynamic goals, but I just like the class of Dean Grice. He was absolutely silky smooth. The way he was able to put the ball onto his boot from that deep in that forward pocket. Fantastic goal for mine.
Speaking of silky smooth, your silky smooth work has been very nice on EFL TV this week. Frosty, looking forward to a big round 2, week 2 action. And we're heading out to Eastern Lions and Park Orchards on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, well, 2 teams obviously looking to make a statement. Park Orchards went down to Surrey Park, my boys, in round 1, so they'll be looking to bounce back. And the Eastern Lions, they had a good look at the competition. New coach Rob Kreskis, I saw him up there at Sylvan versus Coldstream on Sunday. They had the week off, so they're going to start their campaign this week, and it's going to be a radio game.
Certainly will be 1 to 6 p.m. on 98.1 FM, and of course streaming right here on efl.org.au. Frosty, thanks for your work, and we'll see you next week.
Pleasure, mate. Look forward to EFL TV.
That's it. Ferntree Gully, Holden, once again, great supporters of EFL TV. We'll catch you next week.